Are you a guy who thinks running backs make good kickoff returners because of the similarities in following blockers and holes and things like that?
Yes, I think it also has changed though with the new rules compared to the old rules. I think in the old rules, you definitely wanted a thicker guy to run through arm tackles when you run your tracks and everything. I think now with the new rules, you want more of a potential shifty guy a little bit. But in general, I think running backs, because they naturally run and press holes, and so they're able to press their blocks, stick their foot in the ground, make the right cuts and reads, and they're doing that, every play on offense, so to speak. So I think, anybody that's got the ball in their hands a lot, can translate to a good guy back there for sure.
Do you have a rule of thumb as a coach for when guys are looking to field punts inside the 5? Like, are there times when you say it's okay, times when it's not? Because obviously Sky had that one last night, but returned it 16 yards.
Yeah.
What's kind of your rule on that?
Changes week to week. But, base rule would be like probably anything inside the 7-yard line, you're looking to let it go. But you look at the opponent also, like how good's the punter? If the punter is consistently like putting the ball at the 8-yard line and not hitting touchbacks, then you may be a little bit more aggressive that week. But like if you're just talking generically base week, we're probably at the 7-6-yard line, somewhere in there, like, hey, don't really return them unless we have a return call. Like if we're being aggressive and dropping a guy out to get the gunner down the field, then we'll communicate to the guy like, hey, be more aggressive here, but smart at the same time. So it's a very good balance, and you have to really trust the guys that are back there to make the right decisions. So we try to do that as much as we can, and then everything at practice, you implement it like a game. And so it's like play it like a game. So when we're at practice, we try to see what the decisions they're making in the game, so when they go out on the field, they're making the same decisions.
Cam, you didn't overreact when Trey was maybe not making as many as you'd like in practice. Do you have to make sure that you don't go the other way too and get a little too excited? And how do you explain what he's done these 2 games?
He's had 2 good games, but they're only 2 games. I'm probably more inclined of, when you're doing good, try to find something, than the other way. So, he's had 2 good games, which is a credit to him, but it's still a long way to go. Obviously, we're going to get a chance this week to actually kick in the stadium we play in, so that's going to be really good too. But I think anytime you're looking at anywhere it's positive or negative, you got to be even keel with it and take the good with the good and for what it's worth, but also the bad with the bad and know what you're working for. So I don't try to get too high when it comes to that, especially when reflection. Now in the moment you're excited, all that type of stuff. But when you're looking back on it, you're just trying to stay even keel and making progress with it.
With Trey, obviously everyone's watching as it going through the uprights, but what have you seen from him with the kickoff rule at the NFL and the landing spot, different types of kicks, all that?
Yeah, obviously when he was at Florida, it was a lot of hit the ball as far as you can, which obviously he did one of those last night as well. So he has the ability to do that if we need it, but he's trying to adjust, and he's improving, obviously, with the placement. We want to get the ball as close to the goal line as we can, but also not at the 8-yard line, 10-yard line. So just being able to adjust and go right, left, middle, wherever we're trying to place the ball based off our coverages, because we'll kick it all over. We try not to just kick it one place. He's done a really good job with it so far. Gotten better from the spring, and as he continues to work it, he's able to place the ball and then move it more outside the numbers, more in the alley, because we'll do different things, with our coverage that he's going to have to move the ball around. So we don't have to just put it in one spot. But he's adjusting well, because it's not just swing away anymore. We got to try to cover, and the closer you can put it to the goal line, the better it's going to be.
What worked on the 68-yard return with Pierre Strong? How important was his timing and decision-making on that play?
It really is. We want our returners to catch the ball going forward. Jeff Coons works with our returners. He does a really good job with those guys. You see him back there all the time. Just emphasizing catch mechanics. It starts there. Like actually catching the ball coming forward, because it just makes it that much different for the blockers. And that's what it is on a kickoff return. The fraction, the run alley is very small, and it's going to close real quick. And then just pressing the blocks. The guys did a really good job blocking. If you really look at it on the film, like there's a lot of guys that are latched on to defenders. The one guy we didn't block was obviously free. It's the guy that makes the tackle. So, those are going to happen. But they do a really good job. Jeff, Corey, that work with me. I'm blessed to have 2 guys that are really good, and they do a really good job for us out there, focusing on that and communicating. But Pierre did a really good job catching it going forward, pressing the blocks, and then getting vertical.
Cam, a lot has been made about your energy, whether, run up and down the sideline or tackling pads in practice. Have you seen the guys, I guess, match that energy that you bring, and do you see it kind of rub off on you?
I try to be the same person every day. Whether that's, tackling a pad, headbutting a guy, whatever it may be, And I think it's contagious a little bit, I really do. But I think the most important thing is to be yourself and be genuine. I think guys and people see through that. When you're not yourself, or you try to put on, a mirage and hey, that's just not me. I think the guys know that. They see the excitement. They also can see the other side at times too. But it's a healthy balance. I make sure the guys know when they do a good job. I also want to make sure they know, hey, we got to get this fixed at the same time. But I tell the guys to be themselves. But I'm a naturally high energy person, so I want them to go out there and cut it loose and have fun. And it's obviously you can have a little bit more fun when you're playing well. It's not gonna be as fun if you're not playing well. So I think some guys like that type of stuff, and other guys are who they are, which is fine. But I'm always gonna be myself for sure.
There was that one return Bo had in practice where you pretty much ran stride for stride with him. He's like the fastest guy on the team. What was your fastest 40 in your prime?
My prime, it was I think it was 4.51, to be honest with you, 4.52. In college when I was there, I was going to my senior year. I told Bo I was going to run about 22 on that one. Obviously I didn't get 22, but it's good. I think for those guys, they like to compete. Regardless, it's me, another player. That's the thing you love about the guys we have. We have a lot of guys that like to compete and push one another. It's a really good group of guys. And it's exciting to coach them.
What's the challenge for you over this next week where you've had a core group on kickoff and kickoff return and so on, and by the end of the roster cuts, you might lose some guys and you kind of have to rebuild things?
That's coaching. I think best coaches are best teachers. And we got to just continue to, and that's part of our job as coaches is, I wish I could keep them all. I'm sure Goody and Matt wish we could keep them all. We can't. But when that happens, and whoever it may be or may not be, you've got to figure out and put the pieces together. You're putting that puzzle together because kicking game, you may have a guy no different than on game day. He plays 4 phases and he goes down. Well, it's not like, hey, this guy's, it's 4 different guys that may have to go into the game, and you may have to take another guy off a phase because he's starting on offense and defense to play because he may be the best next guy on punt, but he was starting on kickoff. Well, now I got to put a different guy in on kickoff. So for a special teams guy, it's the roster manipulation and just trying to be able to get the best 11 out there, also understanding their offensive and defensive loads. So, I don't really try to look into who's going to make it or not make it till it's done. I try to rep everybody at practice, give everybody the opportunities, and then when it's said and done and, we make those decisions, then you figure out and try to put the pieces of the puzzle together.
Who are some guys that have impressed you through the spring and through camp at the gunner position?
I think we're working 18 guys out there right now, and I'm not lying. Obviously, Bo's been good for us out there, but there's been multiple guys, and I think that's the biggest thing. You see a lot of guys rolling out there in the games. You see them at practice. It's not been one guy. You have a guy that has a good day, a bad day. I think it's just the amount of guys, and that's why the competition is so good. You got 18 guys out there working, and it's like, well, which guy's going to get the job? So I really think this week's going to be a battle too. It'd be good to go against Arizona in the game, practice, and practice ourselves. So I can't just point out one guy, to be honest with you. I think all those guys really flashed, which is really good because now it makes Goody's decisions hard. I just say, who do we got? So stay there.
Do you call them gunners, by the way?
I do. I think the biggest terminology is probably, I think some people call them flyers. I call them gunners. The guys on the punt team I call slots, not wings. On the interior where you see kind of like Chris Brooks and that. But once you start talking terminology, you can call it peanut butter and jelly and whatever, it doesn't matter. The player's going to call it whatever they know, so it doesn't matter to me.
Is it jammers on the other side?
Vice. I just call them vice. Corners and safeties. And that kind of just goes with our terminology of how we put guys in spots and for the calls, rather than just call it jammers.
What have you thought, I should say, I mentioned Cal, with Adamitis, what have you thought of the job he's kind of come in and done here, kind of getting familiar with that field goal operation unit, but then also kind of what he's been able to settle on?
Yeah, he's done a good job. I think Cal's done a really good job coming in, filling in. He's done a really good job, obviously, the snapping, the protecting, stuff like that. So I think he's done everything we've asked for him, and we'll see how it kind of goes and all that kind of stuff. But obviously he's done a really good job for us, and he's not only for us, everybody else, he's put his best foot forward for sure.
Going back to the,
Oh, go ahead, Jason.
sorry, Bill. Going back to the 18 gunners, like, between your time as a coordinator and as assistant, you've had a lot of special teams units. Do you feel like you have more options than you have maybe had? There's some years where maybe you got guys that are going out there, but they might not know what, do you feel better about what your options are no matter what Goody decides?
I think so, yes, because you're working so many guys. And I think sometimes when you come into a new place, one thing for myself, whether it was, New England, New York, or college, wherever it may be, is like understanding you're in a new place, so everyone's even. Like no one to me when I walked in was like, hey, this guy's a starter. It's like I want to see every single guy and evaluate every single guy for what they're doing now, not for what they've done. So working all those guys is really helping me to say, hey, this guy's really showed up here lately. And I think that's the biggest thing is you're working so many guys, but it's giving you a good view of all those guys. And, you're also putting them on the other side. So you're working against each other. But I think it's a good group overall, for sure.
And you can also see, like, Neiman's done it forever. You've got a bunch of Bo, et cetera, like, Christian's done it forever. Does that experience come through too, though, when you're watching them? You know the guys that have done it for a long time.
Yeah, I think anytime you got a veteran, he's going to know how to certain situations and how to attack a guy. Again, veterans are always a comfort factor for coaches too, because they've been out there, they've been in the heat of battle. But I also think you got to get young guys ready to play, and you got to teach them. And there may be some growing pains with younger guys that, eventually, hey, this guy may make it or that type of thing. But I think overall, the veterans, you're like, oh, he's done it. He naturally does it and feels it. But then that's great teaching stuff. And our vets do a great job of coaching the younger guys. We don't have any selfish players or anything. So that's really unique in that aspect too.
When it comes to roster cut downs, I don't know if tough is the right word to use here, but are they tough conversations with like Goody, Matt, and Jonathan as you guys try to figure out how each of your units?
I wouldn't say they're tough at all. To me, everyone wants to win. That's what's great about this thing is we all want to win. We always want the best players, and I think you give your input, and then they make the decision what they think's best for the team. That's what Bill taught me all the time. So it's like it was really easy. He's going to make the decision best for the team, regardless of what you thought or not. So you give your opinion, and they take that into consideration, and then they make the decision they think's best for the team. And when you walk out of the door, hey, we're all on one path, and we're moving forward, and it's great in that aspect because we're all working a straight line.
Cam, going back to Trey real quick, have you had kickers that maybe are better in game situations than they are in practice? Like I'm the opposite in golf. Like it's a stripe show on the driving range.
Yeah, it's funny. I wouldn't say maybe practice game, but I always said like the worse Stephen Gostkowski hit in pregame, the better he kicked in the game. If he missed every kick in pregame or missed 3 or 4, he was going to be perfect in the games. So again, I go back to like it's all about the ball contact, and then just figuring out where are we aiming, all those type of things. So. There was times when I was in New England, couldn't even make a PAT because of weather and stuff like that. So, it's just, you deal with situations like that. But I would say, like, each guy's different, Some guys are great on game day. Some guys are, great in practice, and it may not translate. I think it's just being the same person every day, whether that's a kicker or a core player, whatever it may be.
Back to snapper. Obviously, Trey's on her roll. If you end up going back to Matthew, who's obviously done it for quite a while, do you risk upsetting the apple cart there, or is because Daniel's spent so much time with him that it'll all be fine?
Yeah, I don't put too much into that part of it because Matt's a pro. It's not like you're going back to a guy that's never done it before. He's obviously a quality guy, and Cal's done a great job too. So I think, in that situation, both guys are going to be fine. And Trey, his operation really is more so when Daniel's moving than when the snappers come. It's more Daniel. And Daniel's obviously worked with Matt, so there's that experience, and then working with Cal. So I think we're going to be okay either way for sure.
Cam, what do you want to see out of the third preseason game from the special teams unit as a whole that maybe still needs some room to grow before week 1?
Yeah, I just want to see our guys compete and effort, not make any minimal mistakes, no penalties, that'd be nice. That's one thing we got to take care of for sure. Play a clean game, that's the biggest thing. Go out there and make sure we're doing our assignments, we're the most physical team out there and just showing up and, obviously have a very good, clean game. That'd probably be the number one thing for me.
If 100% is 100% ready, where do you think the special teams unit is today?
60. I mean, we got a long way to go. Like I know everybody looks at the games like, whoo. There's a lot of way. We got a lot to go in the kicking game, and because you're always striving for that perfection. And there's been some flashes, some really good stuff, and there's some other stuff we got to clean up. So, that's the good thing. We still have time, in that aspect, but it's not that much time. So, but the guys are trying and they're doing a good job for us. So, we'll just keep working every day for that.